My name's Mohsen. I'm from a company called Stream Technologies. We're based in Glasgow actually. All of our staff are here. You may not have heard of us, but we have been around for over 17 years this year. So the aim of today's presentation is to give you an idea of some of the challenges we think that our customers are seeing in the Internet of Things, and talk about what's going on in Scotland and in Glasgow actually with LoRa and how we're involved in that. So us as a company, we've been around since the year 2000. I won't go into too much detail, it's not entirely relevant for what you guys are here for, but we as an organisation do a number of different things in providing IoT connectivity, network services and platform services. Now the word platform itself is quite confusing when it comes to IoT. You hear IoT platform, this, that and the other. Now the reality is that in the Internet of Things you have all these millions and billions of devices predicted. They're going to be developed on some platform, they're going to be connected by some platform to some platform, and there's generally three types of categories you could put that in. The first is a connectivity management platform, which you'll probably hear more about the more you look into the Internet of Things. You'll start to hear about companies like Cisco Jasper and hopefully companies like ourselves as well. So there may be some companies and brands that you recognise here. So you will have a connectivity management platform where you would activate a device, manage the connectivity life cycle. Then you have application enablement platforms. You may have heard of PTC, Steinworks, IBM Watson, and very famous names. And that's where you would build your platform and start to visualize the data that you have. So if you have a temperature sensor, what temperature is it, etc., and you can develop your devices on platforms like ARM Embed. And we have a partnership with all these different platform providers there. So some of the challenges that the enterprise customer would face when thinking about the IoT, deploying a device, when you have these high millions and billions and you're deploying globally, will be that you've got multiple different data sources. So you've got temperature sensors, you have vehicle tracking, you have smart meters, you have all these different types of devices. And then you come into the technologies. There's 2G, 3G, 4G, NB-IoT, LoRa, Sigfox, Wi-Fi, satellite, the list goes on and on and on. And then we have these different types of technologies, and in fact different providers. You have different platforms to manage it. So imagine you as an enterprise, you're deploying your devices around the UK or around the globe. Would you really want to have one platform to activate a SIM and another to activate a Wi-Fi device and another to do a satellite? It becomes unnecessary. So what we're trying to do as a company is bring all these technologies together and provide the one integrated solution for the world to manage IoT connections. And then you have multiple platforms to visualize data. So if you think about our local authorities here, should the council be having one platform to manage street lighting and the other platform to look at the waste management, and all these different use cases? You have, by the end of the day, you'll have 100 different apps to look at all the data that is really going to go and feed back into one big system. And then you have different network operator agreements as well. So if you're deploying around the world, do you really want to talk to a mobile network operator in every single country and sign a contract for every SIM that you're deploying? And then when you go into connectivity itself, you'll have different types of considerations as well. So if I'm going to deploy a device, you don't know what technology you're going to use, but you know that you need it to have a long battery life. Smart meters, they talk about battery life 10 years in excess, but are you going to achieve that using cellular connectivity? No. Are you going to get that using satellite? No. You have different things that you need to think about speed. So if you're thinking broadcasting, we have customers that would require 4G connectivity for live broadcasts. They take the cameras everywhere and it will connect to the network. So you can't use a LoRa a LoRa network to communicate a video. You'd have security concerns. So would you want to use something or Wi-Fi, Zigbee? What technology would you use? The range of communication required, and the most important actually comes down to is the cost, the overall total cost of ownership of your connectivity. If you're looking to deploy thousands of sensors in a building, are you going to pay thousands of 10 pence or 20 pence or 30 pence bills for a SIM card on every device? Probably not. And you have all these different technologies that you have to think about as well. That's what we're trying to do. I'm not hoping not to give you a sales pitch here, but we're bringing all these different technologies in, giving them one platform, and then the customers can choose where they want to visualize their data as well. And so one technology you might have heard me mention there a couple of times, it was mentioned in Gary's presentation as well, was LoRa, and I think it's very relevant to what I'm going to talk about after, about what's going on in Glasgow and what's going on in Scotland as well. So LoRaWAN is a type of low power wide area network, and Essentially what it enables is communications over a range of up to 10 to 15 kilometres, and I must say that's not something you would get in the city, because we're seeing that as 1 to 3 kilometre range in the cities. It's a bi-directional technology, meaning that as well as gathering data from sensors, you can actually send a command through. So for example, something we're working on with local authorities around the UK is street lighting. So they want to be able to manage street lighting, so turning off street lights based on events, or being able to manage that remotely, so they can send a command down to the street light and turn it off through a LoRaWAN signal. And a gateway is something you could think of as a Wi-Fi router. It would handle the communication between the devices through to the internet, and where you would start to visualize all your data. So a single gateway, which could cost you anything from £200 to £2,000, would be able to handle up to around 50,000 devices and sensors at any one time. So if you think about smart buildings, which we've spoken about quite a lot today, a single little router will be able to handle a very significant amount of sensors at a very low cost. And they'll all have a long battery life as well, depending on how often you send your data and how much data you're sending. And another interesting thing about this technology is that you would be able to locate and triangulate the location of a sensor or device without the need for GPS. So that opens up a number of different possibilities. If you think about yes, sorry?
Sorry, can I ask a question about the lamppost? Do you broadcast to all the lampposts, or do you have to send a command to each one?
There's both. There's option for both. So
Okay.
within this technology, there's different types of devices, and they have different classes. You have Class A and Class B. Class C, they operate in different ways.
Right.
There's multiple different ways to send out messages. The most efficient would be just broadcasting it. So, but yeah, I'm happy to share more information on that as well. And there's a huge range of applications, so people are using this technology for, smart metering, waste management, street lighting, and the list goes on and on and on. And this is a technology that's actually been deployed across countries such as Japan, the US, China, India, all around the Europe. And in UK is one country that's not made an announcement for such a network rollout, and we are expecting that, in the next year or so, either a giant or a startup is going to announce a nationwide network rollout. And some of the use cases that we've seen with our customers are, if you may have heard of a company called Jersey Telecom, they're a mobile network operator in the island of Jersey, and they deployed a network that covers the whole island, only using 10 to 12 base stations, and they're able to connect all these hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of devices through that very small network. In Glasgow, what we've done with Boston Network Census, who are an innovation centre, Semtech, who own the IP for LoRa, has deployed a network here in Glasgow, open access for the developer and entrepreneur community to bring new devices. So we're helping a lot of startups educate them on the technology, help them take the product from an idea to something that they can then commercialise as well. Transport for West Midlands down in Birmingham, something we've done with them is deployed a network for them to be able to count the people at bus stops. It's interesting. So they have a little Bluetooth and Wi-Fi sniffer device. It will count, the number of devices of people who are at the bus stop, and then communicate that data back over the LoRa network.
Is that that frog thing?
It's a crazy frog. That's old school.
No worries at all. So the street lighting is something that's very interesting. So Glasgow City Council just in the last few weeks released a tender for 11,000 street lights to be connected, and they have pretty much said that they want to use this technology. So here in Glasgow you're going to see a big change with all the street lights here, and we're hoping that we're going to be the technology providers for that. That would jump back itself. So LoRa in Scotland, I mentioned what we have in Glasgow is this open access network for people to get familiar with the technologies, build products around it, engage with academics. We're working with the University of Strathclyde, the Glasgow Caledonian, and I'm sure we're also working with Glasgow University as well. And so we've done that with the partners that you can see in this circle. Recently, the Scottish Government actually announced a digital strategy, and if you read through it and you control F LoRa, you will find the statement here that they are going to develop a national LoRa wide area network to support, obviously, the adoption of M2M and IoT technologies. And this is all came out of the work that we are doing with Semtech in Boston. So how is this going to impact us? We're going to have a number of different benefits. We'll be probably going to have less bin lorries on the street, because they're going to optimise the way the council operate that. So the bin men would only go and collect the waste when it needs collected, rather than having a schedule to go to every single site every second day. So things will be more efficient. Your street lights will go on, not just one big power surge and they all go on at one time of day. They'll be more efficient. They'll go on when they need to go on at certain times of day, or if there's a football match on, they might go on earlier or later, or, and God forbid, if there is a terrorist attack or some kind of thing, they can put the full power on and the whole area lights up. And so us as a company, this is some of the use cases that we have. So, we currently connect over 1 million devices, and we've done that over a period of 17 years through 500 different types of companies. You might see some of you recognise the guys like G4S and Clear Channel. We're providing them with connectivity services to help visualise their data, upload stuff to the digital boards. We're doing a whole bunch of other things with mobile network operators that isn't really entirely relevant or may not be interesting to you, but what I did think you might find interesting is what we're doing in Glasgow, and how the Scottish Government recently announced that they are going to support a nationwide IOT rollout. So I'm not going to say much more because I think you may have some questions that you might want to ask, so I'm more than happy to answer any of those.
Great.
Now or later.
Excellent.